Good morning, students. Today I shall discuss a new topic, that is the string functions used in Mysql. Now let me first explain you what are the string functions. The string functions are those functions which are used to manipulate the values of the character data type. That means with the help of these string functions I shall be able to set character values for the columns or the attributes in a table in various different formats. Now note that a character can be any letter from A to Z, a numeric digit from 0 to 9, or it can be a special symbol such as the hash sign, the dollar sign, a white space, a question mark, etc. And the group of such characters forms a string. Now every character should be enclosed within quotation, so the string, which comprises of a group of such characters, should also be enclosed within a quotation. Now following are the list of string related functions that can be used to manipulate the values of the character data type in various different formats. The first in the list is the LCASE function or the lower function. Now both these functions, that is LCASE function and the lower function, are synonymous, so they serve the same purpose, and both these functions shall be able to convert a string from uppercase into the lowercase format. That is, these functions shall be able to convert a string from capital letter format into the small letter format. Now note that uppercase means the capital letter format and lowercase means the small letter format. So these functions can convert a string into the small letter format, that is the lowercase. Then come below. Next in the list is the UCASE or the upper function. Now both these functions are synonymous, they serve the same purpose, and the purpose is to convert a string into the uppercase or to the capital letter format. Then come below. The next function is the SUBSTRING function. The purpose of this substring function is to return the part of a string. Next in the list is the Instr function. If you wish to return the position of a given character in a string. Now that I have already explained that a string can comprise of a group of characters. Now if you wish to return the position of a particular character in a string, use the Instr function. The next in the list is the Rpad function. Now if you wish to pad n numbers of characters from the left side of a string, use the Rpad function. Okay, say for example, if the value of n is 7, you can pad 7 numbers of characters from the left side of a string. Then come below. The next function is the Rpad function. Using this function, you can pad n numbers of characters from the right side of a string. Say for example, if the value of n is 10, you can add 10 numbers of characters from the right side of a string. Then come below. The next function is the Concat function. This function is used for concatenating the string data. Say for example, if you have two different strings, then you can use this concat function to merge these two different strings into a single string. So concatenate means merging of string data. Then come below. The last function is the length function. The length function returns the length of a string. Say for example, if your string comprises of a group of 15 characters, then the length of that string will return the value 15. Now I shall discuss elaborately each of these string related functions from the next slide. Now consider the table student as shown in this slide. This table consists of three different columns. Those are SID, SNAME and SCT. Now based on this table, there is a question below. The question says, write a query in Mysql to display the names of students in lowercase and uppercase format. Now for this question, since we are asked to display the names of students, okay, which is represented by the column SNAME in lowercase and uppercase format, so for displaying the names of students which is represented by the column SNAME in lowercase format, I shall write the query as select lower of SNAME. Okay, and using this lower function with SNAME as the parameter, I shall be able to display each of these entries in the sname column of the table student in lowercase, and this is shown here in this output table. So the column lower of sname will return all the entries of the sname column of the student table in lowercase or in small letters. So you can see for the first entry arpita of the sname column of the table student, which is in uppercase format, the corresponding entry for arpita under the lower of sname column of the output table is in lowercase or in small letters. So the rest of the entries from Tushar, Astik, Hansika and Anumita for the same column sname in the table student, they are represented in lowercase or in small letters for the column lower of sname in the output table. Then just after specifying select lower of sname in the query, then I shall put a comma. Why? Because just after displaying the names of students in lowercase, now I shall display the names of the students in uppercase format, and for that I have to use the upper function, and I shall put the parameter the column name sname of the table student. Now upper of sname shall set all the entries of the columns sname in the table student in uppercase or capital letters in the output table for the column upper of sname, and this is shown here in this output table. So upon executing this query, select lower of sname comma upper of sname from the table student, the column lower of sname shall display each of the entries of the column sname in the table student in lowercase or in small letter format, and the column upper of sname shall display each of the entries for the column sname in the table student in uppercase or in capital letters in the output table. So here is the output that is shown for this query. As a result, the query select lower of sname comma upper of sname from the table student followed by a semicolon displays the following output with the columns lower of sname and upper of sname, where the column lower of sname lists the names of the students in small letters and the column upper of sname lists the names of the students in capital letters. Now again, let's come to this slide, and in this slide again consider the table name student comprising of the three columns SID, SNAME and SCT. Now based on this table, follow this question. The question says write a query to demonstrate the substring string handling function. Now I shall demonstrate the use of the substring string handling function, okay, with the help of a query. Now see the query. The query says select substring of sname, 1, 3. The 3 here indicates that I shall retrieve 3 letters, okay. I shall retrieve 3 letters starting from the first letter, okay. Since the middle parameter is 1 and last parameter is 3, so I shall retrieve 3 letters starting from the first letter for each of these entries in the sname column of the table student, okay, as the first parameter is sname. And upon doing that, for the column substring sname, 1, 3 in the output table, I shall see only 3 entries, okay. Sorry, I have misspelled it just now. So with the help of this function substring sname, 1, 3, I shall retrieve 3 letters for each of the entries of the sname column starting from the first letter. So this puts ARP, since A is the starting letter, and if I extract 3 letters out of this entry, so for this entry Rpad starting from the first letter and extracting 3 letters gives ARP. Okay, let me highlight it. And this part of the entry gets displayed in the output table here. Similarly, for the name Tushar, okay, if I extract 3 letters starting from the first letter, then I shall extract TUS, okay, from the entry Tushar into the output table. Similarly, for the next entry AAS, if I extract 3 letters from this entry AASTIK starting from the first letter, then I shall retrieve AAS into the output table, followed by for the item Hansika, if I wish to retrieve 3 letters starting from the first letter H, then I shall extract HAN from this entry Hansika into the output table. And finally, for the name Anumita here, for the sname column in the student table, if I have to retrieve 3 entries starting from the first letter, I shall extract ANU from here, and it will get displayed in the output table here. As a result, the first column substring sname, 1, 3 in the output table, 3 letters from each of the entries in the sname column of the student table shall be extracted starting from the first letter, which gives ARP from the entry Rpad, TUS from the entry Tushar, AAS from the entry Astik, etc. So at the end, for Anumita, I have extracted ANU into the output table. Then again come to the query. Just after trying to show the column substring sname, 1, 3 in the output table, I shall add another column, that is substring sname, 4. This time the starting letter to start from will be at position 4. Now for the column sname, okay, if the starting letter is to start from the position 4, then for the entry Rpad, the 4th position starts with the letter I, okay, and how many characters to extract from is not shown here, like it was shown here that 3 characters were to be extracted after the first letter has been said that it should start from the position 1. But in this case, as the starting letter should start from the position 4, I shall start from the letter I for the entry Rpad, and since it's not been mentioned how many letters to extract, that's why I shall extract all the letters starting from the letter in the position 4. So for the entry Rpad, I shall extract I, T and A. Okay, so here in the output table for the column substring sname, 4, I shall see the first entry as ITA, okay, which are the 3 letters being extracted from the entry Rpad. Same way, for the entry Tushar, the 4th character is H, okay, and if I extract all the letters starting from H in the output table, I should see HAR. So HAR gets displayed in the output table. In the same way, for the entry Astik, the 4th position is having the letter T, and if I extract all the letters starting from the 4th position, so I shall retrieve TIK. So TIK gets displayed in the output table. And so for the rest of the entries also it will follow the same procedure. Okay, so as a result, Saika is for the entry Hansika and Maita is for the entry Anumita. Okay, so as a result, using the query select substring sname, 1, 3, the second column substring sname, 4 from the table student displays the two columns, that is substring sname, 1, 3 and substring sname, 4 with these given entries. Now come to this slide. Now here in this slide there is a table named student comprising of 3 columns, SID, sname and SCT, and again based on this table there is a question below which is asking you to write a query to demonstrate the instr string handling function. Now first of all, what is this instr function? Okay, now the previous function that I discussed was the substring function. Okay, now what that substring function did was it returns part of a string. Okay, since it returns part of a string, that's why here I could retrieve part of the strings, okay, which are the entries of the column sname in the table student. So for the entry arpita, I could retrieve part of the string, that is ARP, okay, using this substring function. And again for the entry to sar, I could also retrieve part of the string, that is TUS, using this following substring function. Okay, so using these functions I could retrieve part of the string for each of these entries of the sname column in the table student. Okay, but the function of instr is different from the substring function. What this instr function does is that it returns position of a given character in a string. Okay, so the instr function returns the position of a given character in a string. Now if I have to demonstrate the instr string handling function using a query, say I use this query. The query says select sname, instr, then taking sname and a as the parameter from the table student followed by semicolon. Then if it selects sname, okay, from the table student, then it's going to display the column sname into the output table with each of these entries starting from arpita till anumita. So the same entries for the column sname gets displayed in the output table. Now for the second thing to be displayed in the output table, which is instr taking the arguments s and a, okay, taking the arguments sname and a, okay, which are separated by comma with the argument a within quotation. Now this argument a is the character value which is enclosed within quotation, and using this instr function what I'm going to do is now I will find the position of this character value a for every entry of this column called sname. Okay, so now I will refer this same column called sname here, and using the instr sname comma a as the function which represents the second column in the output table, it will first show the position of the character a for the first entry arpita of the column sname in the table student. Now for the first entry arpita, the position of the character value a will be 1 because a is the starting character, so the position will be 1. That's why for the entry arpita this instr function will return 1. Then for the second entry to sar, okay, the position of the character a shall be, now count from t is the first position, so t is the first position, u is the second position, s is the third position, h is the fourth position, and a will be the fifth position. Okay, that's why the position of the letter a in the second entry to sar shall be 5. Similarly for the entry astic, the position of the character a shall be 1, so 1 is displayed here. Again for the entry hansika, okay, the position of the character value A shall be 2, because at the first position there is the letter H and at the second position there is the letter A. Okay, now at the end, for the entry Anumita, the position of the character value A will be 1, because A is standing as the first character. So that's why 1 is getting displayed here. As a result, upon executing this query, that is select sname, the instr function with sname and A as the arguments from the table student, it shows the column sname and the function instr sname, A as the second column in the output table with the given entries. So I hope you understood these three functions that I have discussed in today's presentation, that is the LCASE lower and the UCASE upper function, the substring function and the instr function. Now if you are clear with these three functions, you can easily understand the rest of the functions, that is Lpad, Rpad, Concat and the length function that I will be presenting you in my next class. And with this I shall end my presentation here.